Welcome everybody, this is Brian Cowling.
I'm Sean Sowers.
Sean Sowers, and Sean is really fantastic at presenting to sellers the benefits, because a lot of agents go in and they talk about themselves, they talk about I can sell your house, but there's no real presentation of value. That's what Sean's going to share today. I'm going to play the part of the seller. So really what we want to do is kind of start right at the beginning. Before you've gone to the house, you've already put some data together, some information. There's another class on putting together the CMA and everything, so we're not going to talk about that here. We're going to talk about what you do from the time you knock on the front door to go ahead and start pulling that seller into the environment you want them in. You're pretty good at maintaining control of the situation. Remember, you're there as a consultant, you're not a salesperson. So let's talk about how you do that. I'm a seller, you come to the door. Where do you kind of start that whole process of starting to, rapport? Rapport is the biggest thing you can do up front. So how do you start to gain that?
Thanks, Brian. I'm glad you asked. So, folks, when I first arrived to a property, as he said, you want to make sure that ahead of time you do your homework, prepare your CMA, make sure you've got your research, you know the neighborhood, and any particulars that might be involved. I like to always set the agenda. People, no matter what, naturally are nervous, so you're able to immediately start to put their nerves at ease and get their direct attention. So when I meet them and greet them at the door, hello, my name's Sean Sowers here with GivingTree. I'm here today to talk to you about your home and the potential of listing it. My goal is that we're going to take a quick tour around the house and have you show me some of the things that you really love about the home, what sold you on it, anything that I might need to know that's going to help me in the selling process. And then we'll sit back down in the kitchen for a few minutes and I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about my firm GivingTree and what we can do to help sell your home for the most amount of money in the least amount of time with the least amount of stress. How does that sound today?
All right, so if you're watching this right now, I would almost pause that, go back and watch it again, because that was textbook. Whenever you're giving a presentation to somebody or meeting with somebody, you want to tell them what's about to happen. Like you said, it kind of sets their mind at ease. And you really just close it out with 3 points for exactly what they want. Yes, I do want to sell it faster. Yes, I do want more money, and I want the least amount of hassle. So fantastic intro. Once you've done that, do you go do a tour of the house? Where do you go from there?
Yeah, so the next thing is the tour of the house. And this, folks, is where you can, if this is your first time meeting the client, or maybe you've had a phone call conversation with them, but your first face-to-face meeting, this is where you're going to start to get a feel for that individual client, their personality. You can also tell a lot of things about the way somebody lives by the way they keep their home. Both maintenance-wise and cleanliness-wise. So I take that tour opportunity to get to kind of feel the client out, but also learn more about the property. So as I ask them to guide me through the home, and as they're showing me around, everyone wants to show off their stuff, right? So most people are going to take that cue and go right in and show you all the wonderful things. And if they've done upgrades, if they've ripped up the counters or replaced the floors or updated the HVAC, those are all things they're going to tell you as they're touring the house. But as a real estate agent, this also gives you the opportunity to ask things that are going to be important that may be potential material facts, such as, has the roof ever leaked? Have you ever had to have the roof replaced? Are there any major plumbing issues in the home that I might need to be aware of? Are all the appliances functioning properly, and are you planning on leaving them in the home, or are you going to take them with you? And that's a natural conversation that you can have as you're walking room to room. The husband and wife take you into the laundry room, and you can quickly ask, so the washer and dryer, did you guys want to leave it, or are you going to sell, or are you going to take it with you? Same thing with the refrigerator. Don't always assume that a client is going to leave something. Sometimes, in fact, you have to inform them that, Mr. Jones, with the way the market is working right now, more often than not, I'm going to be able to sell your home for a little bit more money and a little bit quicker if we're able to include those appliances, because most home buyers are wanting an all-in-one stop purchase. And if we make you enough money, I think we can buy you a new one. Is that going to work? Of course it will. So that's a great opportunity to start to probe those certain things.
You're planting little bitty seeds as you're going through the house.
Correct.
Can I make one more observation? The best sales people that I've ever met are always consultants, and they come across as somebody, as you're asking these questions, you're actually projecting your knowledge of the subject. Yep. You're projecting what you know, and it really feels like you've done this before. I think the mistake I see a lot of salespeople make is, let's say we're walking through the house and you mentioned something about the dog park. And it reminds you as the salesperson a funny story that you've had about the dog park, and you launch into this long drawn out story. And most salespeople think that's creating rapport, but it's not. What's it actually doing?
Losing their interest.
You're losing their interest. So you stay pretty targeted on the subject matter, and you're creating rapport through that by being the expert, the knowledge expert for what they actually want to happen. Because really, what's their number one thing about this meeting that they want to happen? You mentioned it up front. Well, I want to sell this house in a short amount of time, most likely, for more money and for the least amount of hassle. Once we know those, everything we consult around is leading towards one of those, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I like this strategy there. So now you're walking around the house looking for opportunities to have those discussions. What are you doing to try to ascertain at that point their personality type?
The personality type really is going to be determined on a couple of things, right? If as you're walking through the home, they are really informative and really pointing out things and showing off and almost acting like a real estate agent in guiding you and touring you and showing the home, their personality is going to be a much more engaging personality. They're going to be a little more apt to respond out of impulse than the personality type where you're almost having to they kind of just quietly walk you into each room and you really have to pry.
You're trying to
you're
of
pulling information.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I noticed that this house was built in '93, but this bathroom looks fabulous. Did you guys update it yourself? Oh yeah, we did that after we moved in.
But
one
the
personality
high
type
is just going on.
Yeah, oh yeah, they're telling you we went and picked this tile out at so and so down in Monroe, and we special ordered this fixture from Lee Lighting in Pineville, and they'll give you all those intricate details. Whereas the other personality types, and you can tell as you're walking through the home, you're going to be able to start reading. They have to talk to you. They're showing you their home. So you'll be able to tell by the amount of information that they give. Mm-hmm. And also, this is an important thing, as real estate agents, right? We have to also remember the compliance aspect of everything we do. You're also going to be able to tell if your client or if your prospect, your seller, is truthful or not. We notice things. If you notice water stains on the ceiling and you ask your client if there's ever been a roof leak and they say no, that's going to be a red flag to me, because if I'm going to list the home for this person, I need to know everything that they know about it. And as a real estate agent, I need to be able to disclose anything I know or should have known. So if I walk through a house and I see what looks like was a leak, but I don't address it, technically I'm being negligent in my job duties. And supposing I do list that home and another real estate agent comes in and their client makes an offer on it and they notice it and they ask me, and then they say, well, how did you not notice it? That is something that as an agent you should have reasonably known.
So you're looking for material defects as you go through. You see a crack in a foundation.
Correct.
You're probably going to want to put that on the list. Say, hey, we're going to have this checked out. Yeah, we're not just going to sweep it under the rug. We need to have this checked out. Yeah.
Right. So that's an important thing. Folks, remember, we choose who we hire and who we don't hire. So if you show up to a property that looks like it's in disrepair and you're asking probing questions of your seller and they are not giving you entirely truthful answers, it's okay to not list that home if you feel like it's going to become a problem. Now, please come to myself or Bruce or Brian and see if there's some way that we can still speak to that seller a little more plainly, maybe help you through the process of getting them to understand.
You're talking about more of just having an awareness as you're going through.
Having an awareness.
You're there to accomplish several things, but it's very important that we maintain our reputation in the industry.
Right.
Right. So good points there. Now, let's say we're going through the house. I do like to ask questions about what they do for a living. How long have they been at a specific job? where are they moving to?
Yep.
So before I'm getting back to the table to go ahead and talk about a presentation, I'm already getting some insight into who this person was. If they have been working at Lockheed as an engineer for the past 30 years, I have a very good idea of who this person is. And there's some rules really that I try to live by. If I think it's a high D personality type, my presentation is going to be much more to the point and brief.
Correct.
Okay. If I think it's a really high I, it's going to be a little bit more magnanimous. You know, we're going to laugh it up. We're going to tell some stories. I'm going to let them tell more stories.
Yeah.
But they're going to try to get the direction away from the content. I have to keep it focused on the content. So it's a little challenging. The high S is a good 30-minute presentation. Just they want the information.
All the details.
And the high C, they want even more details.
Yeah. They want the graphs.
They want the graphs
pictures.
and the charts and the color pictures. So knowing that, now we've asked some of those questions. Anything else that you ask while going through the house?
You know, it all depends on the home, right?
Okay.
If it's an older home, you know, I'm asking questions about any updates that have been done since their time in it. You know, if it's a home that was built in 1901,
right,
that potentially there might be lead-based paint. I want to know if they've disturbed that in their time living in there. So things like that you know will ask, noticing, and each home's a little different. When I wrap my tour and we kind of get to the end, and I really have a generic line that I use with every seller.
Okay.
Well, look, Mrs. Jones, you've got a great house. Why are you selling it?
I like that. It's very conversational at the same time getting to the point.
Right. And so that way you're really able to instantly get a keen insight on what is their motivation. What is their driving motivation?
Plus, that's a hell of a compliment to pay them, because now that's a great way to build rapport. They love their house. They really do in most cases.
Yeah, everyone loves their house.
So you just built a little bit of rapport and pulled them a little bit closer by complimenting them. This is a great house.
Yeah.
And you have to be genuine. You have to come across with that.
You do.
Yeah.
You do. And again, it's kind of a generic line, but I use it with everyone because once I've asked that question, they've given me their answer. They're moving, they're relocating, they've got another kid on the way, they're upsizing, they're downsizing, they're getting divorced, they're getting married, whatever it is. They've now given me their motivation. So my next step is to then figure out the timing. Okay, so your motivating factor is you got a new job and you're relocating to Atlanta. So Brian, when are you planning on making that move? What's the time frame for getting your house on the market?
So really, I've got to be down in Atlanta in about a month and a half. I'm kind of traveling back and forth now, and then my family's going to follow me.
Oh,
so
excellent.
I could be there before they are. You know, my corporation's put me up with some housing that I'm leasing, and so we'll live there until we find something.
Are you guys going to buy another home in Atlanta once we sell this one?
Most likely. We got to find a place that we like.
Well, we've got some excellent real estate partners. I'd love to help you find your new home in Atlanta as well.
Okay. All right.
Cool. Well, listen, what we're here today to talk about is selling this home. I also want to spend a little time and talk to you about Giving Tree, what makes us a little bit different, and again, why I'm going to be able to help you sell your home for more money, much faster and much less stressful than all of the other competitors, right?
Sounds like what I'm looking for.
In the Charlotte market, you can throw a quarter and hit about a dozen realtors. So we're going to talk about what makes us a little bit different.
Okay.
First and foremost is our leadership team. Bruce and Brandy, husband and wife combo. They've been combined in real estate for over 50 years. Bruce is a longtime luxury builder. Brandy's a longtime luxury real estate agent. They came together, and shortly after they got married, they decided that they wanted to really start a firm that stood out from everything else. And what they came up with, their brainchild, was Giving Tree. It's really based on some core values, and that main core value is charity. We're really committed to the community, and part of that commitment is giving back a portion of all proceeds. We choose health and happiness and take action every day in our company. We honor and respect our clients, and we display integrity at all times. We're grateful and treasure our own families. Your faith and your persistence will assure your ultimate success in this real estate transaction. One of the ways that we're raising the bar is at Giving Tree. As I said, we're built on a foundation of giving back. So a portion of proceeds of every sale or every commission that we collect as a firm, we donate back to a local charity. Now, each agent in the firm supports their own local charity, so it's our way of really reaching out and personally belonging to our own individual communities that we work in. My charity is Folds of Honor, so when you hire me to list your home, the portion of the proceeds is going to go to that charity, and we donate to basically pay for secondary education for the children of fallen soldiers.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so it's a pretty neat little charity. It's close to my heart. Our growth means more exposure for you. We're one of the fastest growing real estate firms in the Carolinas. Total sales of about 8,000 homes right now. We've got multiple offices both here in the Charlotte market, Ballantyne, Triad, and we're continuing to expand down to Columbia and Spartanburg, South Carolina as well. We use some really exclusive training programs, and I'll get into more detail. That's kind of boring information for you. What's really interesting, and one of the reasons that we kind of try to go above and beyond our competition, is that a shocking fact of almost 70% of homeowners do not go back to the same real estate agent to do another transaction. That's shocking because in this business, it's a people's business. It's you're working hands-on with individuals, and I know personally, I have an outstanding repeat client base, and we're trying to grow that in the entire firm. Actually, 94% of our clients would come back to GivingTree or have come back to GivingTree for a second transaction. So another thing that really sets us apart from your retail real estate operations.
Okay.
All right. So I want to talk about 5 really important things, reasons that you want me to sell your home for you and you want the power of GivingTree behind that listing. First and foremost, we've got buyers. We've got an exclusive database of, I think right now we're up to about 8,000 or 9,000 buyers that have contacted us and told us specifically the area they want to look for a home in, the price point they're interested in, and the time frame they want to see that home.
Okay.
So within literal minutes of me taking on your listing, I'm able to blast that property out to a predetermined list of interested parties, in addition to all the other exposure that we're going to provide to you. Now, I talked to you about this when I walked in the door, but we sell homes faster. GivingTree Realty will get your home sold fast, and that's not a promise. That is a true fact. Our listings sell on average 31% faster, or to put it in terms of days, 15 days faster than the average home in Charlotte.
That's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 3, we sell our homes for more money. GivingTree will get you top dollar for your home, and our listings sell on average about 2.4% over list price. So in monetary terms, if your home is based at about $240,000, we're going to be putting about $5,000 extra dollars in your pocket. So another reason to bring us on as your teammate in this process.
Okay.
Your home is more likely to sell. GivingTree has a 3.36% rate of expired or withdrawn listings. What that means is 3% of the listings that we take on, we were not able to sell. Still not a number I'm proud of, but when you stack that up against the Charlotte average of 7%, you're almost 100% more likely to sell your home with us than you are with the competition.
Okay.
And then more importantly, you don't have to take my word for it. I'm not just a fancy salesman. Check out our reviews. We've got hundreds of reviews on Zillow, Google, Realtor.com that all really support clients like yourself that have had an amazing experience with me and my firm. Okay. One of the reasons that we're able to provide all of this service to you is because I am not the butcher, baker, and candlestick maker. Okay. We have a unique sales team approach. We have a slew of agents that all have different job duties, and we've got support staff in the office that are there every step of the way, from transaction coordinators to closing coordinators, to our admin office team, to MLS specialists, to showing assistants. We're going to cover you top to bottom, A to Z, but you don't have to feel apprehensive that you're putting too much on my plate, because I'm not going to be handling everything. I'm going to be pushing it off to other people that are designated specialists in each step along the way. So we're going to start inputting the information for both branded and unbranded advertisements, getting the listing agreement inputted in, and getting all the documentation executed, creating flyers and advertising, starting to syndicate out to the local websites like your Realtor.coms and your Zillows, in addition to the MLS, which is going to be sent out to every other registered real estate agent in the greater Carolinas.
Okay.
All right. So real important, I want to just take a minute to talk about agency. And if you remember when you bought your home, I'm sure your agent told you about the different types of agency that we have here in North Carolina. The type of agency that I would be for you would be a seller's agent, all right? Your listing agent. That means that my fiduciary duty is to you and you alone. Okay. The other type of agency is a buyer's agency. The reason I want to point these two things out is because during the course of our transaction, even though it is legal to practice dual agency, my firm does not practice dual agency. So supposing we have a buyer come along that is unrepresented, they can either prepare an offer as an unrepresented buyer to turn into you.
Okay.
And I can help them with that, but I can't advise them on what to do because my interests lie with you. Or if they would like representation, I will defer them to another agent in our firm so that it's still an arm's length transaction.
Okay.
My job is to sell your home for the most amount of money. And I can't truly do that if I'm representing both buyer and seller.
Well, that makes sense.
Okay?
Yeah.
So just kind of a little understanding. The benefits of seller agency, again, is just to represent you exclusively. I owe all my fiduciary duties to you.
Okay.
Okay? To protect your interests at all times. To keep your financial capabilities, your thoughts, your willingness to take less on the property even strictly confidential. I would be lying to you to say that it's anything less than my best interest to sell the whole home for the most amount of money because I'm a commissioned real estate agent. Right. So the more money I sell your home for, the more money I make, and I'm greedy. Okay. Now, talking about designated agency is that dual agency thing I just talked about. If we need to bring another agent because we've got a buyer that's potentially interested and they're unrepresented, we will assign a designated agent to represent them specifically.
Okay.
All right. Our mission is to sell your home faster for top dollar with the least amount of hassle. And with the support of our unique sales team, our exclusive and innovative consumer programs, our leading edge technology, and our specialized knowledge, we know that we're going to be able to do that. The first thing I'm going to offer you is our cancellation guarantee. All right. So that means that if at any point in time you are dissatisfied with the level of service I'm providing to you in selling your home, you can fire me. I'm giving you that out up front because I want to make sure that you feel that you are getting nothing short of concierge service. Okay. Okay. Our buyer profile system, this is really one of a kind. How this benefits you is, again, what I talked about earlier. We're going to be sending out your home instantaneously to the database of buyers that we already have that have already given us their criteria. We're going to be able to instantly match those buyers up with your home. So it really is going to give us a little bit of a leading edge. Okay. Another thing that we talk about, and this is of tremendous importance to you, but we have a lot of specialized market knowledge. The real estate industry is constantly ever changing. So part of my job is not only to service clients like yourself, but it is to stay educated on what the newest things in real estate are, whether that be financing, zoning, school changes, different building practices, or in general, just additional training to help hone and sharpen my skills as an agent. These are things that we're constantly doing, and it just brings additional benefit to you as the consumer. Okay. So once we start showing, we've got a really cool feedback system, okay? This is a big benefit to you because in the age of technology, I'm able to put the feedback in your fingertips instantly, and a lot of sellers really want to know what someone has to say about their home after they leave it. Mm-hmm. With our showing time system here, you're going to be able to view your feedback and the status of every feedback 24/7. You'll be able to see exactly what buyers have to say about your home, good, bad, or indifferent. Okay? So don't shoot the messenger. If Sally comes through here and she says she hates the color of your tile backsplash, I love it. And Sally might have bad taste. Okay?
All right.
All right, the next thing is our exclusive home warranty. What we're doing with the home warranty is offering it as part of the sale of the home so that any prospective buyers that come along are going to have that peace of mind at knowing that your home is also going to come with a 1-year warranty. And that's something we're going to offer as part of the listing. Also, what's really cool about this is we're going to engage that warranty on day 1 of the listing. So if your air conditioner happens to break down next week, don't worry. We've got a warranty placed on the home that will fix that while you're trying to sell it. So you're not going to have that exorbitant out-of-pocket expense while you're trying to sell your home at the same time. Just a little added benefit for you, but a peace of mind and a value add for any prospective buyer. Okay. We've got a lot of additional expertise. I notice your home is beautifully redone. But I told you about Bruce, our owner, broker in charge, years and years and years of luxury building. So sometimes a seller will come along and they'll say, you know, I'd really like to sell it for what my neighbor sold it for, but they recently updated mine and I don't have the money to update, or I don't have the contacts to update it. We've got some unique partners and experience where in some instances we're able to come in and potentially help out to maybe rip out a countertop and replace it to add $2,500 in countertops could turn into $10,000 in a better sales price. So for certain other clients, or maybe you've got family members that could benefit from this, we're able to bring a lot more to the table. Renovations, repairs, new home construction, land sales, and development. So really the next big step is just to imagine yourself with a sold sign out front because you hired Sean and I got it sold really quick. Okay?
All right.
So with our VIP home seller system, it can be and it will be you. All right. Okay. I've got these couple of pages for notes for you as we go through here.
Okay.
That really rounds out my presentation. I want you to keep this. I printed this up for you just so that you can kind of reflect back on it if you have any questions about some of the different services that we're going to be providing to you. But I do want to get into the state-sponsored propaganda, some of the forms and documents that we've got to disclose to you while I'm here today.
Okay.
The first one of those documents is called the Working with Real Estate Agents. Now, I explained the different types of agency through the course of my presentation.
You did?
This is a reiteration and what the state requires us to disclose to any potential prospect, whether they be a buyer or seller. And it's reiterating seller's agency, dual agency, where the agent represents both parties, a buyer's agent, again, dual agency, and designated agency. Okay. All I need for you to do, I'm going to fill out my name and firm license and information in here.
Okay.
And if you would be so kind as to just go ahead and sign on the line which is dotted, acknowledging that I've disclosed the different types of agency in the state of North Carolina.
All right.
Okay, perfect.
Sounds good.
All right, so that's the state-sponsored propaganda. We got that out of the way. All right, so the next up, it's important to understand that we use documents that are provided to us by the National Association of Realtors and the North Carolina Realtors Association. So these documents are important because they are the only documents that I will accept on your behalf from a prospective buyer. So whether they're represented by an agent or not, if their offer is not produced to you on this form, we will not accept it. And the reason that is because, again, the lawyers have produced this, so it gives you as the seller the most protections. This is just a sample document. I want you to have it so you know what to expect. If it's outlined in blue, it's probably important. If it's outlined in red, it's probably really important.
Really important.
Okay?
Yeah.
And again, this is just for you to have. Okay? The next one up is the property disclosures. Okay? So first and foremost, let's take a minute to fill this out together. This is our State of North Carolina Mineral Oil and Gas Rights Mandatory Disclosure Statement. State law requires that you disclose if you've sold off any parts of the property, mineral, gas, or oil rights. So what I need you to do is read each one of these questions, answer it to the best of your ability, yes, no, or no representation. That means I don't know. And I don't know is a perfectly acceptable answer.
Okay.
Okay? And just initial each one as you go through that.
Okay. All right. How come some of these don't have a box on them?
So the first two here, mineral rights were severed from the property by a previous owner.
Oh, okay. So you wouldn't know that.
You wouldn't know that.
All right.
Right?
Okay.
And then the next one, seller, which is you, has severed the rights. You would definitely know if you had done that.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That sounds good.
Easy enough. Okay, so this is something that we're going to give to prospective buyers so they know exactly the status of the property. And you probably did one of these when you purchased the property as well. All right. This one's going to take a little more time.
All right.
All right. This is
at?
called the Residential Property Owners Association Disclosure Statement. Again, yes or no questions. There's no wrong answers. If you don't know the answer, no representation is perfectly acceptable. What we want to do is try and limit the number of useless questions that a prospective buyer asks us.
Okay.
All right. So some pretty basic questions on here. Just take a minute to read through it.
Right.
And if you stop on any of them and you're not sure what to put, I'll help you out with it. But this is a form that I must have the sellers fill out.
Okay.
Okay.
All
So
right.
go ahead and take a quick minute and we'll work through that one.
All right.
Okay. Very good. All right. So we've got our disclosures. We've got all that figured out. All right. So the next form that I have for you, is my employment contract. All right. This is an exclusive right to sell listing agreement. Now, first and foremost, I want you to go ahead and sign this. This is your cancellation guarantee. If at any point in time you are dissatisfied with the level of service that I am providing you, this is your promise up front that you can terminate my services with no questions asked. It's like dumping me after a bad date.
Okay.
Go ahead and sign right there.
All right.
Okay? All right. So now the listing agreement. The listing agreement is the employment contract. All right? So a couple of important things that we're going to notate. First and foremost, it's got a definitive date of time. Not just when you hire me, but when the expiration is. So it's not an indefinite, you're letting me have your home to sell forever. We're going to put a time frame on it.
Okay.
All right? You want to be moved in 6 months? I recommend we put a 6-month time frame on it.
Okay.
The next up is it's going to talk about commission. What we're going to get paid for our services. Okay.
Okay.
And that's important. We charge a standard fee of 7% and a transaction fee of $4.95. These fees are collected at closing. Now, by all means, Brian, if you want to cut me a check, I'll take it. You can go ahead and pay us up front, and some people choose to do that.
Okay.
But these fees are typically collected at closing. Now, out of the 7% commission, we are going to be offering a co-brokerage commission. This is what we're going to offer in MLS to be paid to any agent that brings us a ready, willing, and able buyer that is qualified to purchase your home.
Okay.
We're going to pay them a commission to do that. Does that sound pretty fair?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, good. So we're going to split that commission with them, and I'm going to break that out in here as well. Now, as we were walking through the home, we talked about a couple of things. The washer and dryer. Are you sure you want to take them, or do you want to leave them and add a little value to the sale of the home?
We can negotiate it.
Okay, so let's just put in here tentatively the washer and dryer can go.
Okay.
But we'll leave that up to the offer that comes in and to make sure that its price points are correct.
Okay.
All right. Now the listing price itself. All right. I know we talked a little bit earlier about the market analysis I prepared for you. I feel based on the comps in the neighborhood and what you've shown me and the updates that you've done to the home, I feel that a realistic listing price is going to be right at $525. Now that stands kind of in the middle of the homes that have sold in the neighborhood. The last couple closed at that $495 benchmark. You've got about an extra 100 square feet over those, and you've got a few updates that they didn't have. Mm-hmm. And then you've got that home down the street that sold for $549. It was about 200 square feet bigger than yours. So I was trying to put you right in the middle of those homes. How do you feel about that listing price?
Well, what would I be walking away with if we sold it for that?
Well, that's a great question. So what we have here is a form that we can put together. What I need you to tell me is what the balance on your mortgage is.
It's right at about 247.
247?
I just looked at it the other day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good deal. All right. Let's see if I can do a little grade school math for you here. So we've got a $525 list price. We're going to have roughly about $36,750 in commissions plus the $495 transaction fee. Most likely, you're going to have about $1,500 in closing costs associated. Have you paid your taxes for the year?
They're in escrow.
Okay, good. So the good thing about that is you're going to get a refund check from your mortgage provider.
Nice, yeah.
All right. So if taxes have already been paid, then I'm going to estimate about an additional $1,500 in closing costs. Well, let's put all these numbers together. You're going to walk away with roughly $239,000.
So 239
at a $525 sales price.
Yeah, we were really wanting to be just, definitely above 225. So that would do that.
Well, at a $525 list price, again, I want to sell your home for the most amount of money. But if $225 is your ultimate goal, at a 525 list price, you've got a little bit room for negotiation,
Right.
and you're still going to hit your benchmark.
Okay.
So I feel pretty good about that number.
All right.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and put that in as the listing price. Now, typically we advise, obviously conventional loans, cash, of course. FHA, I don't, in this price point of home, I don't recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a little bit outside of the terms of a typical FHA, but I do think a VA loan would be practical. Mm-hmm. We don't want to cross that one out because there are a lot of vets that are buying this price point of home. Okay. And we're not going to do any sort of loan assumption because then we won't be able to get you your nut that you need here.
Okay.
All right, filling in the firm's compensation that we discussed earlier, and we are going to cooperate with brokers. Okay. Just like in the offer to purchase, if it's outlined in blue, it's going to be important. If it's outlined in red, it's going to be really important. Okay.
Okay.
Now, this is the marketing authorization. You are giving me authorization to put signs in the yard, hold open houses, enter the information into listing services, put a lockbox on the home, advertise it on the internet, and do any other activities pursuant to the sale of your home. Okay. We're also going to mark off coming soon advertising. This means that over the course of the next 5 to 7 days, as we prepare the home to actually go live, I'll be able to start doing some pre-marketing for you to help gin up some exposure and make sure that we've got more traffic for you. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, perfect. All right, now we're going to go through your seller's representations. Okay, so flood hazard. Do you have flood insurance?
No.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Any synthetic stucco that you know of?
No.
Beautiful. You got anything buried in the backyard? Dead bodies, oil tanks,
Sure
money?
I hope not.
Okay, well, let's go check if there's money. All right, this is not a new construction. Have you had any issues with termites, or do you carry a termite bond?
I do have the bond.
You do have a bond. Perfect. Yeah. Beautiful. Okay, and you've owned the property. I saw before I came out here for 8 years, so you've owned it for at least 1 year. Mm-hmm. Okay, now, these are the sample forms. I need to make sure that you agree that you acknowledge you saw a sample copy of the offer to purchase, which I provided.
We saw that, yeah.
One thing that I'm going to provide you at the end, but I haven't given you yet, is the professional services disclosure. I have that right here. Okay. I'll show that to you in a minute.
All right.
And then current liens on the property. Okay, so that's your first mortgage, and who's your mortgage held with?
Bank of America.
Bank of America, B of A, and it's approximately $247,000. All right, perfect. Okay, have you ever filed bankruptcy, or are you contemplating filing bankruptcy?
No.
Okay. Does your HOA have any special assessments that they're enforcing?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, very good. And we don't have to worry about the manufactured home, yada, yada, yada. Okay, you have the right to perform a home inspection before we list. Would you like to perform a home inspection before we list?
Not at this time.
Okay,
no.
Very good. All right, photographs and other materials. Once we take photographs of the home, the photographs belong to me and my firm. Okay, so we own the rights to those photographs. If you would like copies, I will gladly give you copies as my client. However, if you decide to fire me, I will rescind the right for you to use those copies. Okay?
Okay.
All right, fair enough. All right, and then dual agency. This is just where we're going to go over again. We do not practice dual agency, but we are going to initial that if the opportunity comes up where there is a seller without an agent, we will practice designated agency, and we will bring another party into the transaction at that time. Okay. All right. And then your big wire fraud warning. If you haven't seen this on just about everything you get nowadays, here it is again. Don't wire money to somebody unless you've double-checked with me or double-checked with your closing attorney. It's just not safe, okay? Okay. All right, so that's all the ins and outs. All I need from you, Brian, is a quick signature. Okay. Go ahead and put your contact information and the best email for my team to reach out to you. We're going to be keeping you up to date on all these things as we go through the process.
All right, that sounds good.
All right, cool. So now we've got that executed. The last thing I want to leave you with is this professional services disclosure. Now, as a seller, it's not quite as important as a buyer. However, throughout the course of any real estate transaction, there are other third-party services that can be utilized, and this is really just to kind of nail those down and give you the opportunity to select them if you would like to have them, and I can help refer them out to a provider. Mm-hmm. If you need an accountant or tax advisor to figure out what you're going to do with all that money, you can give a little bit more to me. I'm glad to take it. The appraisal. Sometimes a seller likes to have their home appraised before they list it. Mm-hmm. I don't have an opinion one way or another, but if you would like to have an appraisal done, be glad to do that as well. Closing attorney. In the state of North Carolina, the attorney is going to be selected by the buyer unless you specifically have a demand or an attorney that you only want to handle this transaction. Otherwise, the buyer is going to select it. Home inspections, home warranties, HVAC inspections, demortgage loan if you need a new one, insurances, any of these other things. These are all services that I can refer out to you should you decide that you want any of them. So I'm going to leave this with you as well. And then the last thing, once we get your home under contract, that buyer is going to get a home inspection. Okay. All right? Don't freak out when that inspection comes back and they're nitpicking all these little things, okay?
Okay.
An inspector's job is to nitpick, and they are generalists. They're generalists in the fact that they generally don't have a clue what they're talking about, okay? They're going to look at something and say, that doesn't look right to me. You need to get a second opinion.
Okay.
This is questions and answers on home inspections. I just want to preface it because it's going to happen, and when the inspection comes back, I don't want you freaking out thinking that, oh my God, my house is going to fall apart. We'll work through the inspection and we will respond with what is reasonable to that buyer and negotiate it based on that. But I see these all the time. This is just for your knowledge. So I just want to make sure that I'm kind of heading off any potential fear that you might have when we get to the home inspection aspect. So I'm going to put all this back in your folder for you with the exception of the documents I need to take to give off to my team. We're going to go ahead and get everything processed for you. Now, Brian, what generally works better for you as far as getting a photographer out here and a schematics individual to start measuring the home and creating a diagrammed floor plan for you?
I'm sure we can, do it just one evening next week.
One evening next week? Okay. So I'm going to have my assistant reach out to you either later today, getting close to happy hour.
Okay.
Probably tomorrow.
All right.
Reach out to you tomorrow, get some scheduling done as far as having a photographer come out, and then we're going to have another group come out that's going to actually draw a schematic like you would get from a new home construction builder so that, again, as we're showcasing your home both personally but more importantly on the internet, people can start to get an idea of scale, of what the home actually looks like, what the spaces look like. Sometimes searching for homes online is a lot like dating online. What you see in that picture is not what you get when you show up. So we want to make sure that we can put as much perspective on it as possible. Okay. Do you have any other final questions for me before we kind of wrap everything up here today?
So when do we think people will start touring the home?
We're probably about a week out before we can start allowing tours. Okay. We're going to get everything put in from a legal standpoint, make sure that compliance is all taken care of, get the photographs ordered, and make sure that we've got some great photos. And then from that point, once we get the photos back, we can pretty much go live almost immediately after that. Okay. What I usually like to do is have a property go live Thursday midnight, sometime overnight, Thursday to Friday. Is there anything else that I can help kind of answer or navigate before we get to the nitty gritty of getting it on the market?
No, let's get it on the market.
Okay, cool. All right, so my request from you, when you hear from my assistant about the scheduling of the photographs, yard cut, cleaned up, curb appeal is a big, big thing, okay? As far as the home, you guys, the home looks great. It looks fantastic. I ask that you declutter, okay? So personal things, photos, just stuff that adds to the overall aesthetic of your home for your living, hide it. Put it in a cabinet, just get it off the counters. We want to show all this beautiful granite that you've got. I want to make sure that they can really see the backsplashes. There's a saying, you can't see the forest through the trees. It's never been more true than in looking at real estate pictures for prospective home buyers. Sometimes they cannot see the home through someone else's stuff. If they hate the color red and your house is decorated in red, it could be the perfect home for them, but they can't get past that red. If they're a very classic furniture style type of person and you've got all modern stuff, it's impossible for them to envision their furniture in your space, even though it may be the perfect space for them. So less is more. Declutter as much as you can, and that's going to help the photographer do his job. Okay? Other than that, now I work for you, which means you have me at your disposal. Call me anytime for any reason, phone, text, I'm on it. If you call me at like 2 in the morning, I may not respond right away, but I will get back to you pretty promptly. And again, for anything you need, even if I can't be immediately available, you have the peace of mind at knowing I've got a team behind me and someone is going to step right in to fulfill whatever your need is at that particular moment.
Okay.
Cool. Well, Brian, I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to getting this thing sold for you, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right. That sounds great. So that is presentation in a nutshell. Now, if you want to follow up on, because we didn't spend a lot of time on pricing in here, there will be another video that you're going to see down below that's going to talk about how do you get the seller when they are a little bit, I didn't really give any pushback in regards to pricing.
Correct.
So we'll do a whole nother video. And how do you get the seller to set the price when they say, let's say he's talking about 5.25, but they're like, no, I'm thinking 5.75. So watch that, because you will run into that with sellers sometimes.
Very true. Yeah. Very true. And that's definitely a whole nother conversation. That's advanced selling, because that's when you got to get sometimes creative to deal with the client, or
we have to help them set realistic expectations.
And sometimes that could be as simple as, okay, well, if you want to sell it for that price point, well, then you need to get everything off the walls, repaint your home, and put down fresh flooring. And they'll balk at that.
Yeah.
And so, but that's an advanced selling 101. We'll touch on that another day.
So we'll touch on that another day. Sean, thanks for the fantastic presentation, giving us a good idea of the knowledge necessary and the confidence. So if you've watched this video and you want to be good at this, we already know what my suggestion is going to be. Watch it 3 times. If you haven't internalized it after 3 times, what do?
Watch it again.
Watch it again. So keep doing it. Put it on your phone. Put it on your Dropbox. Podcast it while you're in the car. Over and over until you've internalized a lot of the things that Sean said here today that give you the confidence. That really is the catch-22, isn't it? The confidence really comes with knowledge of your content. When you know what you're going to say and how you're going to say it, you can project more confidence.
I would say that's 100% correct. And if you notice, one thing about my presentation is I assume that everybody is going to sign with me. I don't ever ask them if I got the job. I assume that my confidence has come through and shown them that whether they're interviewing other agents or they're waiting to interview other agents or whatever it is, that I've shown them that I'm the right guy to hire. I'm the one they need to hire, and I assume the close every time. I start sliding the documents across the table, having them fill them out along with me, and I never asked you if I got the job.
So I was going to mention that. I'm glad you brought that back up. An assumptive close is one of the most powerful closes to be able to use. When you're coming down to it, here's the thing. If somebody wants a different price, then they have the wrong question. Their question is I'm just picking an agent based on the price that they tell me. Well, no. Do you want the best agent for the job, and am I the best agent? That's what your presentation was about. It's to help them see that I'm better than everybody else and I'm the right agent for the job. So everything else is ancillary. It doesn't really matter.
True.
If we have questions about pricing, everything else, it doesn't matter. Do you still agree that I'm the best agent to help you do this? And I'm the one you want to work with? That's what your presentation was. And that's where the assumptive close comes in. I am the best one for this.
And a lot of it is competence too, because, and this will come not from necessarily repetition, but practice. Because, you can meet and do 100 presentations with different people, or you can practice it 100 times at home and be really confident that first time you go do it. Mm-hmm. That shows to the client. When they see that the individual that they're sitting across from is comfortable in their own skin and confident about the words coming out of their mouth. I say this all the time. People naturally want to follow a strong leader. Mm-hmm. And so if you provide that leadership to them, they don't know how to sell their home. They know what a real estate agent is. They know what MLS is, but they don't really know how to sell their home. They know that they don't want to do for sale by owner, because that sounds like not a lot of fun.
Right.
And so they are looking for guidance. So if you show them that leadership and exude confidence, this is a people business. Giving Tree offers a lot of great things to supplement each one of you, to give each one of you additional value. But you've got to create that bond and that connection and sell yourself as well as the firm. The firm is going to help you with your credibility, but it's you, the individual, that is actually going to close the deal.
Yeah. And another interesting thing there's a difference between presenting to a buyer and presenting to a seller.
Much.
Buyers really are asking the question a little bit more passively, is this the right person to help me? And they're looking for somebody who's friendly. Because remember, there's a lot of hands-on interaction throughout the buyer process. So they like this little slower pace, a little more friendly. Sellers are not asking that. Sellers are asking, are you the right person to get me the most amount of money? And the person who's generally the most forward, and I don't want to say aggressive, I want to say assertive.
Assertive is a great word.
Is assertive and has that confidence. They go, well, this dude right here can sell my house and I believe in him.
Yeah.
That's the difference between the two. And I think a lot of people get confused. They come in too friendly to a listing presentation, and that's not what a listing presentation is about. They end up going with the other guy, and you may go, I've met that guy. He's a bit of a jerk. And they will say that about
a he was kind of a jerk. I didn't really like him. But he seemed like he was going to be able to sell my house for more money. He seemed like he was going to be a good negotiator.
Right.
Okay.
That's what a seller's looking for.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's something, when you said practice it, yes. Go home, sit down at the table, duct tape one of your kids to a chair and say, you're watching this. You're going to watch me do this presentation. So that's start to finish, a great layout for today. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Absolutely.
Any last words before we jump out of this?
No, I don't think so. You know, we talk about a lot of the basics and the nuts and bolts. A couple of things, you know, I think that it's important to remember as an agent. First impressions matter. Do not show up late to a listing presentation. If you're going to show up late, don't even get out of your car. Don't even show, because you didn't get it. If you show up late to your own appointment to list somebody's home, they're not going to hire you. Make sure you look professional. I'd say about 50% of the listing presentations that I give, I am either going in right after another agent or right before another agent. So I'm always cognizant as to what I'm wearing and what my first my first look at that client, or first look from that client is.
Yeah, that first impression is important. Some people wear a tie. I'm not a fan of the tie. I do like the classic shirt with the jacket is perfect. Of course, you know, ladies, same thing.
Even
you know.
I mean, even you know, in this summer heat, you know, I've gone where I've found that I always look a little better than sometimes the other male agents are. Once you've established a rapport with the client, you can show up in a polo shirt. It's okay. But for that first meeting, put on a dress shirt. If you don't wear a tie, that's fine, but put on a jacket. Even if you only wear that jacket from your car door into the person's house, and then you say, you know what, while we walk around the house, I got to lose this jacket. It's 95 degrees out. They're going to be okay. They're going to be fine with that. Mm-hmm. You've already set your first impression that this is a sharp-dressed individual. Women, same way, you know, a skirt or even business pants with heels, it's perfectly acceptable. But don't show up in a pair of blue jeans and a cute blouse. I mean, the blouse may be cute, but the blue jeans just kind of speak to that level that maybe you're not the right professional for them. If you're selling dirt, that's a whole nother story. If you're running around selling lots and raw land, you can get away with dirt with blue jeans and old boots. But when you're selling homes, and especially luxury homes, it's important that you look the part, because those individuals, even though you may not be the ones doing the showings, because most buyers have their own buyer's agent, to the seller, in their mind, you're the one doing the showings. And so they are imagining you being the one greeting every person that comes through the door, even though you may not be doing that. So that impression is important, because if they can't see that business professional selling their home, then that's going to be the first thing that draws them away.
So one other big tip, just to finish with this, I like to tell people, you were just mentioning other agents. What generally happens is so I'm about to leave the seller, I want to go ahead and say, hey, so I'm going to go ahead and get this out to all of my network of real estate agents across Charlotte, and over the course of the next week or two, there's going to be a lot of different real estate agents bringing buyers through here. If I don't say that, what's the call you get after 2 weeks? They're going to call and say, Sean, why haven't you brought any buyers through? Yeah. All these other people are, well, I want them to know that it's because of me that all of those agents are bringing buyers through.
Right.
Some of those buyers call us directly, but they already have agents. A lot of them are connected. So they see our marketing, contact their agent, and their agent's going to bring them through. I think it's a very important
True.
Diffusing of a bomb up front.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I always like to go live on a property, like on a Thursday leading into a Friday, so that, again, it's top of the list on Friday morning when people start to search for the weekend. And then sometimes not even allow those showings until that first open house that I'll do either that Saturday or Sunday. So you get twofold. You get a new listing in the MLS, you get the additional exposure for having an open house, and you can create a backlog or a pent-up demand by making that property live but not allowing anyone to see it and almost forcing them or funneling them into that open house. You're able to give instant results to your client in that first weekend, and that helps them overall over the course of the sales process. Well, look, he got in there right away and brought 8 people through my home, you know, the first weekend or whatever it is.
Well, not only that, then if all of those 8 people say no, that's viable data to let them know that they said no to the price. They all saw it.
That's right.
8 people came in and saw it, and every one of them said no. Why did they say no? Well, they saw something that was priced better, and they bought it. All of those people bought. So that's good data. Secondly, if it is in the ballpark, and I wait till 1 o'clock to have an open house, now let's say 6, 7, 8 people show up at the same time, and they're all in the house going through it. That's exactly what I want.
Yes.
I'm creating an auction effect because John and Susie are going, hey, don't you let them get this house. Susie's like ribbing her husband, saying, don't you dare let them get it. I want it.
That's extremely true.
And that brings the price up.
Yep.
So that's a good strategy for
that.
that.
Yeah, it's not, look, folks, if you do your marketing right, you do your planning right, and you bring a house on market at the right price, it is not uncommon in the Charlotte market to sell a home $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 over list price. Because of the competition right now that we have with low inventory, high demand, and a lot of people relocating from less desirable states, quite frankly. The Carolinas has a lot to offer. We've got great schooling, great communities. It's relatively safe, and comparative to other major metropolitan areas of the country, our real estate is still very fairly priced. So you've all got excellent opportunities to sell lots of homes. And if you've got any questions, by all means, your team is here to help you out.
Well, we'll end it with that. Thanks for your time today.
Cool.
You knocked him dead, man. Everybody, watch and learn. Thanks, y'all.